Let's start. So we'll continue our discussion about antihypertensives. Now, when we were discussing antihypertensives, I explained to you what is ARBs. Okay, angiotensin receptor blockers. So I'll not be going over that. We'll continue with the renin blocker. So we were discussing different classes in your antihypertensives. And one second. Right. So as I was telling you, in antihypertensive classification, you have diuretics, which include your thiazides, potassium sparing diuretics, as well as loop diuretics. Then we have drugs acting on RAS, okay, um, acting on renin-angiotensin aldosterone system, in which discussed we discussed about AC inhibitors in congestive heart failure, and told you what is ARBs, angiotensin receptor blockers, in the last class. So in this class, we'll discuss about renin inhibitors, and from then on we'll get into sympatholytics. Excuse me. So right. Next one is the direct renin inhibitor. So why does renin play an important role? Now in RAS, obviously you know that renin is playing the role in converting angiotensinogen into angiotensin 1. If you are able to stop that process, the whole cascade reaction that occurs following renin, or following the conversion of angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1, nothing of the sort will happen. There will be no vasoconstriction, there will be no sodium and water retention, nothing of that will happen. So if you are able to directly inhibit renin, then it can be pretty helpful. But you use the drug that we use as a renin inhibitor is a very potent and toxic drug. Okay, it's called aliskiren. Okay, aliskiren is a drug that will directly block the effects of renin, but it is contraindicated in pregnancy because of its toxicity. As such, contraindicated in pregnancy. As such, aliskiren also has a lot of side effects. That is why aliskiren, you do not see a lot of aliskiren being prescribed in hospitals. Very, very rarely do you use aliskiren altogether. Okay. Now, coming to sympatholytic agents. So, one second. Yeah. So, our diuretics is one main class. Diuretics is one class. Then drugs acting on RAS is the second class. Then the third class will be sympatholytics. Drugs that inhibit sympathetic stimulation. Okay, उन लोगों को sympatholytics बोलते हैं. If you remember in your physiology, you discussed about, I'm sure you must have discussed or read about parasympathetic and sympathetic system. Sympathomimetics are drugs that will mimic the action of sympathetic system. Something like adrenaline is a sympathomimetic drug. Okay. Sympatholytic drugs are those that will go against sympathetic system, or they will inhibit a sympathetic system. Now we'll discuss about them. The first class that is specifically used in hypertension are called centrally acting agents. Centrally acting agents. Now you have clonidine and methyl-dopa, two important drugs in this. We'll discuss about clonidine in a little bit of detail. Now, these drugs, sympatholytics as such, they will interfere with your sympathetic overactivity at different levels. It can either work in your ganglia, it can work in your neuron, or they can work on the receptor level. The more commonly used ones will be receptor blockers rather than neuronal blockers or ganglionic blockers. Ganglionic blockers and neuronal blockers are not being used anymore as such because of what do you call toxic effects. They are not being used, and they are better alternatives. ठीक है, receptor blocker is used though. So the primary receptor blocker that will come under this, so that will be clonidine. Okay, we have methyl dopa as well, but what clonidine does is it will selectively act as a alpha 2 agonist. Now, as a quick reminder, alpha receptor has two subtypes, alpha 1 and alpha 2. ठीक है, alpha 1 को जब भी stimulate करते, when you increase the output of alpha 1 receptor, it tends to cause hypertension. Okay, it will cause vasoconstriction, and it will increase overall blood pressure. Okay, it will constrict blood vessels, it will decrease baroreceptor reflex, and ultimately it will end up increasing blood pressure. Whereas this will also happen because of noradrenaline release associated with alpha 1. Alpha 2, on the other hand, whenever it is stimulated, it will act in your, it will decrease your sympathetic outflow. Okay, alpha 2 receptor does the opposite, or not exactly opposite, but it will be somewhat opposite to alpha 1. Okay, alpha 1 is directly correlating with increase in BP. Okay, यहाँ पर BP increase हो रहा. Alpha 2 on the other hand will result in decrease in BP. How? This fellow will decrease central sympathetic outflow to be stopped. Okay, now from your brain, let's suppose this is your brain and this is your spinal cord. Spinal cord ke bazu, you know, there is the sympathetic chain. Okay, from your spinal cord you have peripheral neurons that are entering into sympathetic chain, and from sympathetic chain you have यहाँ पर ganglion रहते हैं, कई ganglia रहते हैं actually, and from this on you will have instructions being sent to all over your body. For example, if I have the function of contracting certain muscles, or basically if I want to perform a sympathetic function in any part of my body, it will be through this chain. So from brain of what you call brain, and action is sent to your spinal cord, and from your spinal cord through your peripheral neurons, initially it will go to your sympathetic chain, and from your sympathetic chain it will go to effector organs. Okay, I'm just putting it as E. कोलिनर्जिक सिस्टम थोड़ा अलग रहता, ठीक है. दिस इज सिंपैथेटिक सिस्टम. यहाँ पर sympathetic chain रहता है, which is a chain of ganglia on either side of your vertebral column or either side of your spinal cord. Now, out of this what do you call sympathetic ganglion, you have norepinephrine and noradrenaline being released, especially noradrenaline. Okay, noradrenaline will be the main neurotransmitter of this ganglia. Okay, whenever you have central sympathetic outflow जिसको बोलते हैं, in that noradrenaline is the main neurotransmitter. If noradrenaline is released into body, it will increase blood pressure. But whenever you are stimulating alpha 2 receptor, alpha 2 receptor stimulation will decrease the central sympathetic outflow. See, if I have alpha 1 receptor stimulation, noradrenaline level will increase. If I have alpha 2 receptor stimulation, noradrenaline level will decrease. That's simple. Okay, NO increase karte, NO decrease karte. Alpha 1 will increase, alpha 2 will decrease. If you are able to stimulate alpha 2 receptor, it will decrease central sympathetic outflow, causing blockage of noradrenaline release in nerve terminals, from nerve terminals. Ultimately, the result will be that blood pressure will fall, cardiac output will go down, heart rate goes down. Uh, uh, but again, reflex tachycardia can occur. If alpha 2 receptors are stimulated, reflex tachycardia can occur. So keep that in mind. Generally, initially it will start off with bradycardia. Later on, it can become tachycardia. Okay, as stimulation keeps on what you call continuing. As stimulation continues to alpha 2 receptor, initially it will be bradycardia, then it can become tachycardia. Okay, I hope you remember what is brady and tachycardia. And overall peripheral vascular resistance will decrease. The end result will be that blood pressure falls. Okay. यहाँ पर in sympatholytics, specifically in case of clonidine, clonidine is a alpha 2 selective alpha 2 agonist, meaning it is a alpha receptor agonist, but it is selective towards alpha 2. ठीक है, you do not want to stimulate alpha 1 receptor. Alpha 1 receptor को stimulate करे तो blood pressure increase होता. That is not what we are trying to do here. We are trying to decrease blood pressure. In that sense, clonidine, if I write mechanism of action, this fellow is a selective, I'll just write A2, okay, alpha 2 agonist, specifically in your vasomotor center and hypothalamus. So motor center and hypothalamus. What happens if alpha 2 agonistic function occurs? The result will be that decrease in central sympathetic outflow. Okay, sympathetic stimulation decreases. If sympathetic stimulation decreases, that causes blockage of noradrenaline. Yeah, blockage of noradrenaline from nerve terminals. Okay, propagation of action potential will not occur, and the result will be that decrease in BP, decrease in cardiac output, decrease in peripheral vascular resistance. Initially, it will cause bradycardia. Later on, it can cause tachycardia. If the stimulation generally goes on for a while, it will lead to tachycardia. Okay. Arrhythmias are interrelated. Initially अगर bradycardia हो रहा बोले तो your body ultimately, see, if there is, think of it this way, अगर alpha 2 agonism is going on for a long period of time, BP is falling, cardiac output is falling, PVR is falling. Because of that, what happens is the amount of oxygen and nutrients that your cells are getting, or the cells of your body are getting, will significantly decrease. This will send a stimulation, or it will send a response to your brain telling, listen, we are not getting any food and oxygen, we need food and oxygen. The result will be that the brain will start stimulating your beta receptors, specifically beta 1 receptor, and it will also stimulate alpha 1 receptor, because of which cardiac output increases, because of which tachycardia occurs. Okay, that is something that happens in response, especially tachycardia. Okay, the rate at which your heart beats will increase. So that is common with what you call alpha 2 agonists. Okay, I hope you समझ में आया mechanism of action. Now, clonidine is kind of a dangerous drug. Dangerous in the sense that if you are not able to use it properly, then it is dangerous. The normal dosage of clonidine is around 0.1 mg to 0.2 mg oral per day, oral BD. Okay, 2 times a day. Don't give more than 2.4 mg per day. So very small dose can be given. Okay. Now the problem is when you initially give a patient clonidine, and let's suppose you are starting to what do you call, get the patient habituated to clonidine, and they are taking clonidine for a while. Let's suppose they have been taking clonidine for some 8 weeks. Okay, 2 months they are on clonidine. Now, when you are trying to decrease the dose, or when you are trying to switch to a different drug or stop this drug, do not stop clonidine abruptly. In the sense that, let's suppose they have been taking clonidine for 2 times a day, do not suddenly stop clonidine altogether. Taper the dose. ठीक है, meaning decrease the dose. अगर 0.2 mg 2 times BD दे रहे थे, for example here it was 0.2 mg BD 2 times a day, BD, decrease it to 0.1 mg BD, mgbd. ठीक है, then after maybe 1 or 2 weeks, then decrease it even further to 0.1 mg OD. Then after 2 weeks of continuing with 0.1 mg, stop the drug. Okay, so you have to taper the drug slowly. What happens if you don't taper the drug? There will be something called rebound hypertension, which is very common with clonidine. Rebound hypertension is when you abruptly stop the dosage of clonidine, and the blood pressure of the patient will immediately shoot up. Okay, that is called rebound hypertension. Other than that, the patient will also have headache, they will have tremors, sweating, and tachycardia. This is all if, and this will all happen if you abruptly stop the dosage of clonidine. Okay, as such, so one second, I'll just write sudden withdrawal causes rebound hypertension. It will cause tremors, it can cause sweating and tachycardia. Okay, this will happen if you abruptly stop. Now coming to specific adverse effects that are related to clonidine, it can cause, because it is a alpha 2 agonist, it will suppress your CNS to a certain degree as well. So it can cause drowsiness, Can cause drowsiness. It can cause dryness of mouth. Dryness of mouth is a very common problem that patients on clonidine will complain about. Dryness of mouth, nose, and eyes. Okay. Sometimes parotid gland swelling will occur and it can be painful for the patient to eat. Okay. If parotid glands, your salivary glands swell up, the patient will have difficulty in swallowing and eating. Along with this, it can also cause fluid retention and constipation. Some patients have complained about impotence as well. So impotence can occur. Another thing is that this drug can cause somnolence. Okay, it can cause somnolence. Sorry, somnolence is sleep. Okay, so I'll tell the patient to avoid driving or doing any heavy machinery work when they are on clonidine. It is similar to your benzodiazepines. Okay, you are not supposed to do any function where you have to use your motor skills very sharply. Okay, driving or doing any surgeries or doing any specific function which requires your proper motor attention, you have to avoid in when a patient is on clonidine. Okay, it can also cause headache in some patients. Now you use this specifically in case of mild to moderate hypertension, and you can also use it for opioid withdrawal. So if someone is addicted to opioids, morphine, codeine, and all of that, you can use this drug in opioid withdrawal. You can use it in diabetic neuropathy. Okay? It will improve salt and water absorption in your gut by stimulating alpha 2 receptors in intestines. So diabetic nephropathy, your क्या बोलते opioid withdrawal and mild to moderate hypertension are the three places where you can use clonidine very effectively. Now coming to the other types of sympatholytics. Okay, first one was under this centrally acting. Centrally acting में आता आपका clonidine. Okay, the next drug will be adrenergic receptor blockers. ठीक है, clonidine is an alpha 2 agonist. Okay, be careful, it is not an antagonist, it is an agonist. Adrenergic receptor blockers will be of three types. They can be either alpha blockers. Alpha blockers will be prazosin, desmosocin, alfuzosin, tamsulosin, and so on. ठीक है, इन लोग अल्लोसिन में एंड होते हैं. तो these are pure alpha blockers. Then we have beta blockers. We've already discussed beta blockers, so I'm not going to teach about them in this class. We have propranolol and atenolol. These are quite commonly used in case of blood pressure, hypertension. Then we have alpha plus beta blockers. Okay, I'm just abbreviating them as A and B. Alpha plus beta blocker will be your labetalol, and we have carvedilol. Okay, even though their names are similar to just beta blockers, be careful when you memorize them. Okay, labetalol and carvedilol are alpha plus beta blockers, meaning they will block both alpha and beta receptors, adrenergic receptors. Now coming to specifically alpha blockers, alpha adrenergic blockers. ठीक है, अपन लोग बीटा ब्लॉकर्स में पढ़े थे that it can have selective non-selective type. The same will go for alpha blockers as well. Now alpha adrenergic blockers will block adrenergic responses through your alpha receptors obviously, and the types will be, if it is selective alpha blocker, see, we would specifically want to block only alpha 1, because if you block alpha 2 it can cause hypertension. Okay, so inhibiting alpha 2 is a problem. You have to selectively only inhibit alpha 1. We just discussed why alpha 1 agonists are good. Centrally acting and centrally acting drugs like clonidine are alpha 2 agonists. They will increase the action of alpha 2. अल्फा 2 एंड अल्फा 1 आर समवट ऑपोजिट इन फंक्शन. अगर अल्फा 2 को स्टिमुलेट करे तो बीपी कम होता, अल्फा 1 को स्टिमुलेट करे तो बीपी बढ़ता. So when we are giving adrenergic blockers, you would want to only block alpha 1 and not alpha 2. If you block alpha 2, it can cause hypertension. Okay, so I hope keep that in mind. Now selective blockers में alpha 1 blockers आते हैं आपके. These will mainly include prazosin. We will go with prazosin first, then we'll discuss about the other ones. Okay, alpha 2 blockers is yohimbin. You don't need to remember them, like at least what they do that much. So use नहीं करते लोगों को. We have yohimbin, metazapine, and थोड़े है और drugs. Coming to prazosin specifically, if we talk about alpha blockers initially, they have some very important effects. ठीक है, alpha receptor जब भी especially alpha 1 mediated vasoconstriction and alpha 1 mediated inhibition of noradrenaline release, those are important targets of your alpha adrenergic blockers. If you are able to block alpha 1 receptor, it will inhibit vasoconstriction. If there is inhibition of vasoconstriction, blood pressure decreases. Also, alpha 1 blocking will also oppose baroreceptor reflex. Baroreceptor reflex in your body is a mechanism in which if there is decreased blood pressure, baroreceptor reflex will kick in and blood pressure will increase. ठीक है, baroreceptors जो आपके blood में रहते हैं, blood vessels में, they will what you call monitor the pressure in your blood. If it is going beyond a certain level, if it is going below a certain level, at that point baroreceptor reflex will kick in and it will increase blood pressure. Alpha 1 blockers will do both of these things. It will inhibit vasoconstriction. Vasoconstriction नहीं हुआ, या to put it another way, अगर blood vessels dilated रहे मतलब blood pressure कम रहता, and if baroreceptor reflex does not kick in, there will be decrease in blood pressure. But if baroreceptor reflex is not working properly, heart rate and cardiac output will increase even though blood pressure is decreasing. ठीक है, that is because tachycardia is occurring, especially in the case of non-selective alpha blockers. अगर non-selective alpha blocker आप दिए, meaning it is blocking both alpha 1 and alpha 2 receptors, what will happen is one thing. See, अगर मैं alpha 1 plus alpha 2 blockage करा, non-selective बोलते हैं लोग, it is not selective with selecting between alpha 1 and alpha 2. The result will be that alpha 1 blockage will cause vasoconstriction. ठीक है, BP decreases, no doubt, no problem, but alpha 2 blockage will cause tachycardia. ठीक है, it will directly cause tachycardia because it will, whenever you are blocking alpha 2 receptor, we just read in clonidine that if you give a agonist of alpha 2, noradrenaline release will decrease. If you are blocking alpha 2, noradrenaline release will increase. The total amount of noradrenaline in your body will increase, because of which what will happen is this noradrenaline will go and stimulate your beta receptors. Whenever these beta receptors are stimulated, specifically beta 1, it will cause tachycardia and it will also cause increase in cardiac output. ठीक है, so non-selective alpha blockers का ये problem रहता. No doubt it will decrease blood pressure to a certain degree, but it will also cause tachycardia and so common symptom or common result of non-selective alpha blocker is hypotension because of alpha 1 and tachy. ठीक है, better alternative is if you are able to give a selective alpha blocker like prazosin. Now selective alpha blocker क्या करता है, खाली hypertension करता. It will only decrease BP, it will not affect heart rate in any way. There will be no tachycardia. ठीक है, significantly low tachycardia or almost no tachycardia altogether. अगर selective alpha 2 blockage करे, let's suppose if you are blocking alpha 2 receptor selectively, it will directly cause hypertension. ठीक है, if you're only blocking alpha 2 receptor. Now when we talk about non-selective alpha blockers, as I was telling you, adverse effects, these are non-selective alpha blockers. Your non-selective alpha blocker में आता आपका, one second, let's write it here, non-selective alpha blocker. Your examples is chlorpromazine. क्लोरप्रोमाजीन कहीं की पढ़े ना अपन, के इससे पहले phenoxybenzamine, and we have tolozin, tolazolin and phenetolamine. ठीक है, 4 examples बस है. Now if you are giving these drugs non-selective alpha. Hey guys, sorry about that, I just got disconnected out of nowhere. I have to draw the whole thing again. अच्छा ठीक है. So as we are discussing, non-selective alpha blocker है like chlorpromazine for example. Chlorpromazine क्या करता? It will cause hypotension and it will cause tachycardia. You only want one part of this equation, you want only this part. उसके लिए आप क्या करते हैं? Selective alpha 1 blocker देते. ठीक है, selective alpha 1 blocker like prazosin. If you give only prazosin, it will directly cause hypotension. But there are a few problems associated with what you call prazosin or itself. The problems are, if you are giving prazosin, especially there is a phenomenon called first dose effect or first dose phenomenon. उसमें क्या होता? 1 hour after the initial dose, there will be marked postural hypotension, meaning 1 hour after you give prazosin, if the patient is changing their body position, let's suppose they were lying down and they get up, they will generally they will experience hypertension, severe hypotension, because of which they might have fainting. Okay, they might faint altogether or they might lose consciousness slightly. Okay, to avoid that, what you can do is you decrease the initial dose, you give a very low dose and you give it at bedtime. Okay, so when you are giving the first dose of prazosin, give it at bedtime and give a low dose. ठीक है, to avoid first dose phenomenon. First dose phenomenon क्या है? If you give a normal dose of prazosin to a new patient, prazosin virgin patients बोलते हैं उन लोगों को, ठीक है, they are new patients of prazosin. उन लोगों को if you give prazosin for the first time and you give a normal dose, they tend to faint. Okay, especially 1 hour after you give prazosin, if they change their position, they will have severe hypertension, because of which they can faint. ठीक है, that is the reason why you give a lower dose. ठीक है, as such when you are giving prazosin, just be careful around those people, they might fall. Okay, especially prazosin is avoided in elderly because of that reason, because if a younger person falls, it is not that big of a problem. It is, but if an older person falls down, there will be a bigger problem, they can break their hip and things like that. So now prazosin is a very highly selective alpha 1 blocker, to an extent that it has more favoritism towards alpha, or it is how do I put it? It has greater affinity towards alpha 1, almost 1000 times more affinity towards alpha 1 than alpha 2. Meaning it, let's suppose they are 2000 receptors, 2000 alpha receptors altogether, 2000 alpha 1 receptors and 2000 alpha 2 receptors. In your body there'll be millions. Okay, I'm just giving an example of alpha and alpha 2 receptor. If you give prazosin, every time it stimulates 2000 alpha 1 receptors, it will stimulate only 2 alpha 2 receptors. Okay, it has 1000 times more affinity towards alpha 1. So you can rest assured that there will be almost minimal change from your alpha 2. You will not have any effects from your alpha 2 blockage. Okay, there will be no tachycardia in such a condition, almost nil. Especially on arterioles and venules, it will cause dilation, because of which peripheral vascular resistance decreases. If peripheral vascular resistance decreases, cardiac output will decrease, ultimately decreasing preload. So it is also cardioprotective in a way. If preload decreases, the total workload on your heart is decreasing. Okay, you will not see any significant tachycardia, as I told you. There is decreased central sympathetic outflow, and it will cause increase in CAMP indirectly. How it will cause increase in CMP is by inhibiting this particular enzyme, phosphodiesterase 2. ठीक है, phosphodiesterase ही बोलो अभी के लिए. Whenever you give prazosin, it will inhibit this phosphodiesterase enzyme. What happens if phosphodiesterase is inhibited? Phosphodiesterase is an enzyme that can degrade CMP. CMP का function है it can cause vasodilation. Okay, I'll repeat once again. Now, whenever you have CAMP, cyclic AMP present in your blood vessels, it will cause vasodilation. Whenever you have sympathetic stimulation, central sympathetic stimulation, phosphodiesterase gets activated. Phosphodiesterase in turn will inhibit this CAMP. Okay? Because of which vasoconstriction will occur. Hence, BP will increase. Okay? If you give prazosin in this condition, let's suppose you are giving prazosin, this fellow will inhibit phosphodiesterase, meaning this will not happen, meaning vasodilation, vasodilatory effect will increase because CAMP levels are increasing. Okay, it is a little confusing, but I hope you followed along. Just you have to remember that prazosin diya to CAMP levels in blood will increase, vasodilation will occur. Ultimately, BP falls. Okay. Other than that, prazosin and its congeners, matlab prazosin and drugs that are formed from prazosin, tamsulosin, desmosocin, and alfuzosin, all of those drugs are responsible for decreasing your LDL. It will decrease low density lipoprotein and triglycerides. Okay, that is also why they are cardioprotective in a way, and it will also increase HDL. While decreasing LDL and TGs, it will also end up increasing HDL. Another thing prazosin does is it will relax your urinary bladder, especially urinary bladder, neck, and prostatic capsule, because of which they can be used in prostatic hypertrophy. Now, in some conditions like benign prostatic hypertrophy or benign prostatic hyperplasia, you can use alfuzosin. Alfuzosin is very good in case of BPH. I'm sure you must have come across something called BPH till now in case sheets. It is called benign prostatic hyperplasia. Because of increased hyperplasia in your prostate, the patient will have urinary problems. They will not be able to urinate properly. Okay. In that condition, if you are able to give prazosin, it will be very helpful. And any actually alpha blocker, alpha 1 blocker, it will help in the patient urinate normally. Okay. Now, as I was telling, the main adverse effect that you will see is postural hypertension, which can cause fainting. Other than that, it can cause palpitation, it can cause nasal stuffiness, it can lead to meiosis. Okay, meiosis. What is meiosis? Find out and tell me what is meiosis. अपन इससे पहले discuss करें बहुत बार what is meiosis. And it can cause impotence. Okay. Now, there are congeners of prazosin like terazosin, alfuzosin, tamsulosin. These drugs are better than prazosin in a way because one, they are longer acting, they are more alpha 1 selective, and postural hypertension is milder in such drugs. So, I'll just write those drugs here. We have terazosin, tamsulosin, alfuzosin, and you have doxazosin. Okay. These are congeners of prazosin, meaning they are made similar to trazosine. The advantages being that they are more highly alpha 1 selective, okay, more alpha 1 selective, and they have lower chances of postural hypertension. So the patient will not faint. Okay, lower chances of hypertension altogether. They have more effect on LDL and HDL than prazosin. So it will increase HDL more than prazosin and decrease LDL more than prazosin. Also, tamsulosin is a very good drug in case of BPH. Tamsulosin and alfuzosin both are very good drugs in case of BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia. Okay. So that is about alpha blockers. Tomorrow we'll discuss the next class in antihypertensives, which is vasodilators. Okay. I hope you understood.